Okay, I'm back for my persuasive speech. Here's my audience of 3. Okay. So today I'm going to be doing a persuasive speech on the consumption of fast food and why you should limit it. So how many of us have heard the phrase, "You are what you eat"? If this statement is true, it's safe to assume that many Americans amount to a McDonald's hamburger or a Blizzard from Dairy Queen. Today, the convenience and lower cost of a fast food meal has individuals consuming more sodium and processed foods than ever. Should we be concerned that this shorter wait for food has lasting effects on our health? I personally believe we should examine what is going into the foods we are consuming and consider the quality of what we are putting into our body. Today, I'd like to talk to you first about the consumption of fast food in America and how it is at an all-time high, along with how limiting intake of these highly processed foods can decrease health risk factors and improve quality of life. So I'll begin by telling you about current consumption of fast food, which brings me to the first visual aid. So this is from the Department of Health, and it's how often do you eat fast food? 5.2% of people surveyed said daily, 19% said a few times a week, 21% said about once per week, 22.7% said a few times per month, and 12.2% said once per month, 17.5% said rarely, and 2.2% said never. So it's safe to assume that most Americans are probably consuming fast food on a somewhat normal basis. But if you drove around the area where you live, how many fast food establishments would you see? The answer is probably a lot. The problem is that access to unhealthy options is readily available versus cleaner, more whole foods. In 1997, food away from home consumption, which basically also means fast food, accounted for 45% of total food expenditure within our country. It is safe to assume that this number has only risen in the last 2 decades. Most people are drawn to food away from home because the product is consistent and minimal time is spent to obtain it. Companies also have large marketing budgets that allow for expansion into convenient locations, so these budgets allow for their chains to expand into airports, office buildings, malls, things of that sort. One study that I found showed that the 5 to 9 age group is the target and largest group for marketing efforts, especially with the bigger companies and names in fast food. And then smaller family-owned businesses that might have better, healthier options tend to still be viable even with the fast food options having a larger marketing budget, because they usually are targeting a different demographic buying their product that wouldn't necessarily be spending as much money on fast food on a regular basis. Fast food consumption also correlates to socioeconomic status to an extent. One study showed that neighborhoods with low socioeconomic status correlated with a higher body mass index, also known as BMI, when compared to areas of middle or high socioeconomic status. Most of the patterns found in this study were not consistent. However, for the most part, obesity usually correlates to poverty regardless of fast food prevalence or the area that you're in. So next I want to talk about the negatives of fast food consumption. Now that we're aware of the accessibility of fast food, have you ever thought about how this convenience could come with a cost? For children specifically, the prevalence of obesity is at an all-time high. Contributors to this fact can't be summed up by one factor, but it is important to note the effect of availability, portion size, and energy density of fast food. So like we said, it's readily available. Portion sizes for kids' meals and adult meals are usually larger than one would need for a normal meal. And then energy density basically means like the calories of a certain food, how calorically dense it is. So approximately 25% of children consume fast food frequently, and this number rises to about 50% when you look at the adolescent population. This should be a concerning factor, as consumption of fast food or food away from home can be related to insulin resistance, hypertension, and other unfavorable health factors. Specifically, I wanted to discuss the effects on individual health when it comes to fast food consumption. So we kind of already touched on obesity, but it is obviously the first thing that comes to mind when you think about consuming a lot of fast food. Obesity is also accompanied by a myriad of health issues and can predispose individuals to cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and various types of cancer. So, cardiovascular disease, or also known as CVD risk factors, can be hypertension, insulin resistance, and diabetes mellitus, and these are all associated with that higher BMI. Specifically, type 2 diabetes is something that people who are obese could potentially develop. It is estimated that between 60 to 90% of type 2 diabetics are or have been obese at one point in their lives. Most individuals consuming fast food are consuming higher amounts of added sugar, salts, and processed items and or chemicals, and these can all lead to higher blood sugar, which is known as hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia can cause negative effects to the insulin secretion and glucose uptake relationship, which can lead to type 2 diabetes. And then obesity and cancer are probably two of the most prevalent health problems in our society, but obesity has been proven to be related to an increased risk in colon, endometrium, postmenopausal breast, kidney, esophagus, pancreas, gallbladder, and liver cancer. This relationship is believed to be due to different obesity-related hormones, growth factors, and inflammatory responses that could affect cancer cells in the body, or cancer cell promotion or progression in the body. One example of these biological mechanisms is the hormone leptin that is mostly produced from fat tissue, and if you're obese, you're obviously going to have an excess amount of fat tissue, and it is potentially linked or believed to be involved in cancer development. Now, I'm sure that you can see how consuming fast food oftentimes leads to negative health outcomes that can have a lasting effect. This following information that I'm about to share with you could potentially motivate you to reduce your fast food consumption. So when you're looking for a place to eat, number one, you can try and think about what you will be consuming in an energy density perspective, which doesn't always have to do with calories. You can like break down the nutrition, see like what the vitamin content is, the minerals, all kinds of stuff, and things that are going to actually nourish your body through the calories that they give you. Number two, if you're going to consume fast food for a meal, make sure to try and incorporate whole foods throughout the rest of your day. So if you're going to eat a meal out, you could try and eat more fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, things like that throughout your day, just to make sure you're still getting the proper amount of nutrients in your diet. And then if fast food is your option because it's lower cost, you could make yourself a budget maybe to buy or to be able to buy healthier options at the grocery store every week. And there's also a lot of online resources where you can research low-cost, healthy recipes, or even find healthier alternatives to your favorite fast food items on the menu. So we've established that the effects of fast food consumption on individual health are unfavorable, but consumption of less processed items and focusing on eating food from all food groups is more beneficial to overall health. So for my second visual aid, I just have a food pyramid up here showing you what it's set by the government of what the recommended daily amounts are for different food groups. So the least is going to be your dairy at the top, 1 to 2 servings a day, and then you have your nuts, seeds, beans, tofu, fish, poultry, eggs, and then the second largest is, or the main one at the bottom, is vegetables and fruits, healthy fats and oils, and then whole grains. And then also at the bottom it includes that exercise combined with eating is the best option. But so healthy eating benefits on individual health. So a diet filled with fruits and vegetables is going to increase levels of antioxidants and phytochemicals within the blood. Antioxidants can prevent damage to cells and tissues throughout the body, while phytochemicals possess anti-carcinogenic properties. Cardiovascular disease can potentially be prevented by consuming a healthy diet that includes at least 3 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. For diabetes, studies have not found any substantial reductions for developing type 2 diabetes by consuming more fruits and vegetables. However, antioxidants like vitamin E, for example, have been associated with up to a 13% reduction in risk. So, as you can easily see, the cons of consuming fast food far outweigh the convenience and lesser cost of the goods. I've told you about the prevalence of fast food consumption, the effects it can have on your health, practical steps to reduce consumption, and how consuming more whole foods can benefit your health. Imagine if you could prevent your risk for developing a cardiovascular disease, diabetes, or cancer. Don't you think that you would want to take whatever steps necessary to better your health? Even if you reduce your current level of fast food consumption, small changes could potentially add up to big results. I'm going to leave you with the quote from Jim Rohn, an award-winning author and public speaker. He says, "Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live." And that's the end of my speech. Here's my audience again.